Historically, technological disruption followed a predictable cycle. A machine replaced manual labor, and the worker moved to a higher cognitive rung. The tractor replaced the farmhand, so the farmhand moved to the factory. Artificial intelligence breaks this pattern. When a machine matches human reasoning and analysis, there is no higher rung left to climb. Instead of displacing one layer of labor, it makes human cognition itself an abundant, cheap commodity. Major economic forecasts often point to the creation of millions of new roles as an offset, but these top-line projections overlook a structural mismatch. The new jobs require different skills, exist in different places, and move on a different timeline than the ones being destroyed. In the white-collar sector, this displacement is already active. Tech and financial firms are currently restructuring entry-level departments, rarely citing AI as the direct cause, but consistently reducing the hiring of young analysts and developers. The driver is purely financial. If an organization can replace the output of a manager earning 6 figures with an AI subscription for a fraction of the cost, the shift becomes a fiduciary obligation. Blue-collar roles are currently insulated by the limitations of physical hardware, but that gap is closing. As general-purpose robots approach the price of a used car, the point where machines undercut human wages becomes a simple matter of engineering iteration. This is the first domino. When the foundational commodity of the global economy, human intelligence, is no longer scarce, the institutions built around it begin to destabilize. This displacement moves directly into the university system. For generations, the value of a degree has relied on a single premise. It is a receipt for future earnings, a credential you buy to unlock a career path. India provides a clear look at the coming pressure. Roughly 79% of the country's 45,000 colleges are private and tuition-dependent. They operate entirely on the student's belief that the degree leads to a job. Once that belief breaks, enrollment follows. Tier 3 institutions, those without major brand names or research output, will reach the point of financial non-viability first. They won't just close, they will hollow out, becoming shells of their former purpose. Elite institutions will survive, but not because their curriculum is more relevant. They will persist as signaling mechanisms, places where the elite tier of the population can still prove their social standing and cognitive baseline to whatever economy remains. This bifurcation effectively destroys the bridge to the middle class. The university system as we know it is facing an extinction-level event for its current business model. As employment shrinks, the income tax base that funds public services evaporates. Governments are forced to rely on taxing corporate wealth to support the displaced population. However, the infrastructure of the AI economy is preparing to move. SpaceX and other aerospace ventures are already filing plans to move massive data centers into orbit, utilizing the declining cost of heavy-lift launches. This move solves terrestrial constraints. In space, AI arrays can utilize near-continuous solar power and bypass the permitting and water requirements limiting terrestrial growth. Regulators are already struggling to capture tech wealth on Earth. Despite global minimum tax agreements, trillions of dollars in multinational profits are shifted annually to avoid terrestrial tax regimes. The 1967 Outer Space Treaty provides the framework for orbital activity, but it contains no provisions for modern tax enforcement. Jurisdiction exists on paper, but in practice, there is no physical presence for a tax authority to audit, subpoena, or seize. When the primary drivers of wealth move to a zone where they cannot be taxed, the funding for social support becomes a mathematical impossibility. The machine economy physically detaches from the governments that need its revenue to survive. Work has always provided more than just a paycheck. It provides a daily rhythm, a professional community, and a sense of social status. When these professional identities disappear, they leave a void. Without the schedule of a commute, the social respect of a title, or the community of a workplace, the primary scaffolding of adult life begins to dissolve. This loss of meaning is already well documented. In the American Rust Belt, the decline of a single sector led to total social fragmentation. Repeating that pattern across every industry at once changes the scale of the crisis entirely. The most significant challenge isn't financial poverty. It is the erasure of the fundamental structures that tell people who they are and where they belong. Populations without a clear role or economic stake in society rarely remain passive. The pressure typically manifests as political extremism, state fragmentation, or a retreat into digital environments where algorithmic status replaces real-world agency. This chart maps the likely sequence over the next 10 years. The displacement of labor triggers an institutional collapse, which coincides with the migration of tax revenue off-planet. The resulting loss of identity and order then compound upon one another. The immediate priority for any resilient institution is to decouple human value from traditional labor. We must build new frameworks for purpose and identity that do not rely on the workplace as their primary anchor. We cannot wait to manage a transition that is already in motion. The goal is to establish a new equilibrium now, while we still possess the